A very good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for following The Move on all our media platforms. We are so much excited to see you again, to be with us in this episode 4 of The Growth Catalyst. I'm here with Mr. Bill Bekunda. You're so much welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it was so much amazing last time when we were talking about peer influence and effects of drug abuse. Yes. It was really captivating. Yes, we welcome you yet again in our episode 4, which is mental health in teenagers and young adults. Well, when I first heard about mental health, what ran into my mind was psychosis, Butabika Hospital. I didn't know it was so deep that it's something that is an illness in the society right now. Yes, please tell us, what is all about mental health?
Okay, we are going to speak layman's language, things that are speaking in ways that are easily understood. Because when you say mental, rightly like you explained, people think of madness, what people call madness, yes? They think of Butabika, which is most commonly known, the most commonly known place in Uganda where you can get mental health treatment, where they take people who are out of character, for instance. But mental health is just like physical health, right? Physical health is about the physical body. Yep. Mental health is about the health of that which you cannot see, that which is not physical, that which is not the brain.
Okay.
What happens in the brain.
Okay.
Yeah. So the health of that thinking part, of the operational part, of the part of your body that is not tangible, is what mental health is. Tangible meaning you cannot touch it, you cannot feel it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that is how we think, how we talk, how we respond, how we act, how we behave. It is our mental health that determines who you are as a person and how you respond to circumstances, basically. I think that is the easiest way I can explain it. So it is about how to manage how you think, because how you think determines how you respond. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, I've come to realize when I was reading about mental health that the teenagers and young adults are so much affected by mental illness, or let's say mental health, and it has a lot of causes. You'll briefly take us through the causes of mental illness. You'll take us through the early symptoms of mental illness, and then later on we shall discuss the positive solutions. Yes. Can you please take us through the causes of mental health?
Okay. You're saying two things here, health and illness.
Which is totally different.
They're different.
Okay.
Because illness is when something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? And an illness is treated, right?
Oh, yes.
We can call it illness or disease, right? And then the health is the ability. For instance, if I say my physical health, I'm talking about my physical abilities.
Oh, yes.
Am I strong enough to do something? Am I strong enough to lift this thing? Am I strong enough to handle this situation?
Oh, yes.
What happens in the physical also happens in the mental.
The mental.
Exactly the same way. In the physical, you grow your abilities. You exercise them. You want to build your muscles.
You have to work out.
Metals, right?
Yes, all right.
You want to build your mental capacity. You build it also with things that cannot be seen and touched. I get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it is how you think, how you plan. So the mental health of a person is determined usually by, number one, the person themselves, number two, what is happening around them. Yeah? There are very many factors that affect. Because one, we're in the period of COVID-19 right now. The coronavirus is sending a scare around the whole world, and it is sending waves of confusion. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
There are conspiracy theories, there is this, there is the other. Schools have stopped, where we have the young people mainly. Young adults are affected by closure of work. How are they affected? They're actually most affected because they are the young workers. They are the ones who have just got into jobs. They are usually the ones who are not that essential yet.
Oh, yeah.
See, the ones who are more essential are the more experienced, and especially if you're not a scientist or something of that nature.
Oh, yes.
So what does that do to me as a person? Yes? I'm insecure. Okay, let's start with a teenager. I was going to school. My life was planned. I was being given tasks. I was being occupied. I was under rules and regulations. I had something to do from 8 a.m. in the morning to 8 a.m. the next day. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
All of a sudden, it is not there. They've thrown me back home. That's one.
Oh, yeah.
They have not only thrown me back home, but maybe my parent is now worried about my survival. First, they're angry that they paid fees.
Yeah.
And now the term has closed prematurely.
True.
Secondly, maybe they have also been laid off from work, or they are not essential staff. They don't have money. They have to pay rent. We are thinking about all the possible scenarios.
Oh, yes.
So the son is back home, confused. The parent is stressed, wondering, how do I manage? How will I survive? And I have to feed this boy. And I have to keep this boy occupied.
True.
How do you think the atmosphere is like in that house? That is where the mental health starts being affected.
Oh, yeah.
Because the father will want to keep his son in line, or the mother want to keep,
True.
you see?
True.
And the son needs instruction. The father is occupied in trying to solve other situations. He does not have time to keep the child in
Line.
because that is what the school is for them.
That's
and you
true.
see in Uganda, especially, or in Africa, or in the world, people send their children to be looked after. They are now realizing it in this COVID. There are even jokes going around that you had better start giving those teachers a tip, because you see what they are actually
That's
doing,
true.
what?
That's true.
Going through. So that tension puts people under fear. Yes? Now, let me try and give an explanation of fear. And I like giving explanations in outrageous ways.
Yeah.
We are seated here too. If somebody walked in with a gun, say with a chain of bullets, and then they cock the gun and point it at you, what do you think would happen to you?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I think I would. First of all, I think I would want to know what the problem is. But anyway, before I think about anything, I think I just start pleading, because I love my life. I love my life. So
Yes.
because of fear, I would start pleading with something I don't even know that I did.
Exactly. But your state of mind would immediately change.
That's true.
You would not remain here casual, because now you're calm, you're relaxed, you're in control of your situation.
Yes.
Now the guy has walked in. The way the camera is pointing at you, that is the gun. He has cocked, it's another big one. All of a sudden you start pleading, as you said, for
Yes.
something you don't know.
Yes.
Your mental state has changed because of fear. And the state changes to do two things, either fright, which is fear, or flight, to run away. So one person would immediately take cover. Another person would plead. Another person would run away. Another person would black out. We all respond differently.
Yeah.
So the machine gun I'm talking about, that is the situation, for instance, in the COVID-19 right now, that is happening.
True.
Okay?
True.
People respond to them differently. If you are trained, if you are, say, a person who is, you say, an army man, and I'm a civilian, and the gun is pointing at us, would respond differently. You'd probably be thinking of how to disarm this person. You'd know how to respond, either whether it is to plead, or whether it is to negotiate, or whether it is to confront. Because you are trained, you understand the situation. The one who is not trained, who doesn't understand the situation, will just do whatever happens. You break into sweat, and yet even the temperature around you has not changed. I hope that's a good enough example.
Oh, yeah.
So the situations change the thoughts, and the thoughts determine the response. And from the brain, it becomes physical. Why do you all of a sudden say you're seated here, they have pointed at you the gun, and you start sweating? The brain has sent signals of stress to the body, and therefore to enable you to do the next thing, or maybe like it will increase the heart rate and everything. Your temperature goes up, you sweat. Your blood vessels come closer to the skin.
Oh, yeah.
So many things happen. All of that is controlled by
The
the brain. So the situations around are controlling people's minds. The situations around control the person's mind.
True.
And that is what determines the mental health of the person.
Person.
How you respond, if you have been through this experience, or if you haven't and you learn about it, then you respond accordingly. So this young boy is at home, the father is at home, they all have different stresses. One is used to being nurtured, the other one is supposed to nurture and can't. I will start responding to you differently because of the situation, and therefore the mental health is affected. And that is why a program like this is very important, because now you need to explain to people or to help people understand that this is normal.
Okay.
Like a week ago, I was having a chat with a psychiatrist, yeah, also over the social media, and we were talking about, because I said so many people are asking me about anxiety. What is this about the anxiety that people have? And his explanation, well, I know more or less the same, but I liked his explanation. He says anxiety is normal. It is what helps us to perform. If there was no anxiety and you go for an exam, you'd be like, I have an exam tomorrow, I'll go for it. But anxiety makes you be like, I have to prepare.
True.
You see what I mean?
True.
So these are normal things which are supposed to be normal occurrences, but how we respond to them. If I panic, I'll not even be able to prepare. If I don't care about it, I'll also not be able to prepare.
Very good.
Okay.
Now, you were giving us the difference between mental health and mental illness.
Yes.
So to what state does it become an illness?
Yes. Now, it becomes an illness when it goes out of control. I mentioned anxiety, okay?
Yeah.
The situations around us are causing anxiety
Yeah.
because of uncertainty. Now, if the anxiety goes beyond, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be controlled.
Yeah.
When the anxiety comes, use it for the purpose on which it has come. If it goes beyond and now becomes the status quo, when you allow it to stay in your head, you don't find solutions for it, you just imagine, it's just a phase, it will go. The anxiety grows into panic grows into depression, you're now sad, you feel resigned, you feel, now then it is beginning to become a problem. And sometimes it will become clinical. And then you'll even need medication to be able to manage such a problem.
Okay. Thank you so much for your deliberations.
Yes.
Now let's go back to the causes of mental health.
Okay.
Especially looking at the teenagers and young adults.
Yes.
Yes, we really want to know what are these things that make them even get depression, sleep deprivation. What are these things that make make them have mental health?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are so many. Okay, now
Yes.
for instance, we have mentioned one, which
Yes.
is like the current situation of COVID,
Yes.
which is uncertainty. But in the normal daily lives, before COVID, after COVID, there are still challenges that young people face. Teenagers, they are growing up, they are becoming inquisitive.
Yes.
Their hormones are raging. They are still under control.
True.
The dad is saying, don't do this. The school is saying, don't do this. My body is saying, do this. Are you seeing what I'm
That's
saying?
a battle.
So now, it is you are fighting so many things. That causes stress in a person.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah? So you start now trying to rebel, and if you're not put in line, you lose it. You see what I mean? So that is one of the causes. They are still, they don't know what to do with their hormones. Second is, in the teenage years, the part of the brain that deals with reasoning and judgment, that is the prefrontal cortex. I've talked about it before.
Yes.
The part that deals with reasoning and judgment, mainly, begins to grow at the age of 13.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when it starts growing, the child is now, the adolescent is now beginning to assess risks and to think. When a child is 13, they are high risk takers. It reduces the older they grow. By the time they are 25, they are now fully, that part of the brain has grown. They know, they can see outcomes. The closer you are to 13, the less you see the outcome. You deal with immediate situations, is solutions.
Yeah.
What makes me happy now? You see? Now, if there is again no control to help that young person who is growing at that phase, what happens is they will start losing it. For instance, I give you a drink. A young person wants to explore. If you drink a little bit, you'll not fear to talk to that girl.
True.
And you drink it and you feel you stop fearing to look, you get what I'm saying? You'll want to drink again. Okay? They tell you, use this drug, it will keep you awake. Use the drug, you stay awake. The drugs they take are psychoactive. They change the mental state of the brain. That is also another cause. So you see, a natural cause can lead to a physical cause, right? Then there is also, like I told you, there are so many causes. Even when you have grown, say you have been shielded, you have been educated, you have been taught, you have been trained, the training part of growing up, yes, that is okay. When you become a young adult, you now go into the world. Because remember, you look at senior 2, you look at senior 4, you'll be like, when I finish senior 4, then you finish senior 6, you'll be like, when I finish campus, my problems will be over. Yeah. You graduate, you get to a job, and the hustle is no easier.
Yes.
In fact, it is harder.
The hustle is real. That's what we say.
So you see, the thing is, your expectations keep being broken.
Yeah.
Fortunately, if you have continued that path without using substances to help you get through it, yeah, then you'll be able to start accommodating it because you're learning as you grow. But that is another cause, because the uncertainty of, will this ever end? Will I ever have a normal life? Will I ever have money? Will I ever be able to have a relationship? Will I ever be able to get married? Will I be able to get a job? Well, now there are no jobs, right? Those are all things that are causing people's mental health to be affected and leading to illnesses. Because when you fail 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years on the street looking for a job, you get what I mean? Your self-esteem is lowered. Maybe they have tried to make you, to give you a job through, if you're a woman, have sex with me, or a man, either way. You see?
Interviews.
Yes, and you have refused all that. Now you start saying that, okay, what can I do? I think I need to compromise.
True.
I'm not going to go the hard way. And I have these conversations. Even last night I had a conversation with someone saying, but the world is like that. Bill, you have to be realistic.
True.
And there's like being realistic, but what happens next? Yeah? For instance, what happened next? I sleep with you. The second time I refuse to sleep with you, then you say, okay, you're going to be chucked. So I have to continue sleeping with you.
Exactly.
Then maybe I need to get married. Then there are so many different things. So that is how the mental health of people gets from being the normal occurrence, because fear is supposed to be normal, uncertainty is supposed to be normal, but when it goes out of hand and it keeps in the brain, it now becomes a pattern. The pattern now can become clinical because, these are things you cannot see.
True.
Yeah?
True.
And then eventually you'll need to get even medication for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some of the causes.
Those are some of, there are so many.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, take us through the early symptoms. They can be early or even late.
Yes.
Symptoms of mental health.
Yes.
Yes. For a parent to realize that their child has a problem.
Yes.
Or for a teacher to realize that their child has a problem,
Yes.
Take us through those symptoms.
Yes. Mental health signs are not very visible. And I will tell you why. There's something which is very scary, which sometimes I share. A person who wants to commit suicide, not I've said who wants to, or who feels they need to, is very difficult to identify. Why? Because the closer they get to the date of their departure, the happier they are becoming. Have you ever waited for Christmas?
Yes,
okay, has someone promised you money?
Oh, and now talk about money.
And they say, on Monday, I'm going to give you money. Today is Monday, you're waiting for next Monday. Tuesday, you're okay. I have 6 days. Wednesday, I have 5 days. Yes. On a Sunday night, you'll not even sleep.
That's true.
Yet before he told you, you could sleep, right?
True.
You couldn't. Why is that? It is the same thing. The person who wants to commit suicide has seen it as a good idea. They have seen it as relief. They are seeing it as the way you're seeing money as relief. On Monday, I'm getting my money. He's looking and saying, on Monday, my problems are going to be over. So the closer you get to Monday, the happier you are, the more anxious you are, the more, you see what I mean? You're saying goodbye to friends. So you're being nice to them. That is why suicide is a very complicated thing. There are those who commit suicide momentarily because of a specific situation. But if somebody has got suicidal thoughts, that's why they say it is difficult. But if the way to notice someone has got suicidal thoughts is if they consistently talk about death, if they consistently talk about a good life when they are not alive, things of that nature, things that lead to show that, this life is not important, you see, but nobody listens to that. For as long as they see you looking good and fine, it is okay. We say usually the ones who back, I'm going to kill myself, usually those ones are using it as a manipulative factor because of some character defect that they have developed. So how do you identify these, like you asked? For instance, now, if you're a parent, you know your child, you know how the child behaves from when they were young until they started becoming an adolescent.
True.
They are cheerful, they are playful, they fight or whatever it is. When that starts changing, if a person was very talkative and bubbly, all of a sudden they become quiet and reserved, that is a sign. Something might not be right there.
True.
All of a sudden, this child of yours does not want to sit at the dining table, does not want to mingle with family and friends. They want to be in their room locked up. They ask for their space. It is a sign. What is going wrong? Where are they hiding? You see what I mean? Grades, the grades of a child. If a person was performing well, all of a sudden, they start performing poorly. You don't notice that? People notice, but then they attribute it to maybe things have become harder. Maybe, you see, they don't attribute it to mental health.
True.
You get what I mean?
True.
When a person was originally well-behaved and they start behaving badly, they start having outbursts, all those are signs.
True.
Other signs, for instance, for the young adults at work, they were high-performing, they had ambitions. Now they kind of seem to be falling back.
True.
Why is it happening? Why are they not performing? Why is a person always gloomy? Why is a person always glued to their work? Why is a person drinking heavily? Why is a person smoking? They never used to do this. Why is this person argumentative? Why aren't they listening? We all have explanations for those. Instead of looking at it as a mental health factor, we look at it as the man is stressed. He needs to drink after work. How else can you remove the stress? That is how stress is removed. Things are difficult. You see what I'm saying? So those are ways to identify, plus many others, uniquely depending on the situation that is actually happening.
You've brought me to a very interesting question. I realized last night I was trying to find whether there is any medication for mental health. I went as far as USA. There's a center for children. A center for children. I don't remember the name. I think when we come back to the next episode, I'll get the name, the right name. But they were saying that there is no area for mental health in any hospital around USA. And it's like a campaign that they want to start because children in the USA, the percentages of depression, sleep deprivation, mental health cases are really increasing. Suicidal incidents, they're really increasing. So now, putting that in mind, is there anything we can do to treat mental illness, or the solutions are only preventative?
No, there is a lot. Unfortunately, I think time is not on our side, but there is a lot that can be done. Yes, there is so much that can be done to treat them. It is not only about prevention, because prevention, detecting is difficult. Yes, and people are usually occupied. And anyway, who has your time? People are minding their own business, are managing their own stresses and development. So there are, like for instance, you talked about Butabika. There is support. I myself, I am a support, for instance. I counsel people who have got I call them mental health challenges. My psychiatrists like saying that I refer to it as psychological challenges, because when you say mental health, there's a lot of stigma. People don't like that word. So that is something we can explore at another time, because I'll not be able to divulge into it. But yes, there are clinical methods of dealing with it. Yes. Okay. There are medications that are given, for instance, for people who have, but then they're given to certain specifics. It can be clinical. There is psychological, where you have counseling and guidance. There are physiotherapeutical, where you do exercise. There are nutritional. There are so many different ways. There are spiritual. I think the most common in Uganda and around the world are the spiritual approach towards the mental health challenge. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for helping us explore that area. We really thank you so much, Mr. Bill. And we are looking forward to having you in all the other episodes, because this topic is really wide. Thank you so much.
You're
for
welcome.
Deliberations.
Yes.
Next time, our viewers, we shall be handling social media, basically social media, all the media at large, and mental health, how it has affected the teenagers and young adults, and what are the probable solutions to curb mental health in that area. And again, we shall look at stakeholder engagement. What is my responsibility, the teacher's responsibility, the parent's responsibility in curbing mental health? Thank you so much, our viewers. Don't forget to subscribe. The Move. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. Please follow us, subscribe, and like, comment, and share. Every youth needs to hear this. Every parent needs to hear this. Okay, thank you so much for following us. We love you. Bye-bye.